Hello to my wonderful listeners. One Family TV wala mutanale nan kotenke. Mbadingolo akita ni kuyati very shocking me yalon ko ay banku dingol dabe tu yelling. Mbadingol be audio natila lena me yalon ko nani lamu yani hakilo la me yalon ko wala mu Halifa sallati. Abe diamo kan abe kuma kan mem fo ka yara fan Gambia banku kan billions of Dalasis me yalon ko wala mu kodoti. Mbadingolo ntolu malon kata min tola anin kan kontilim min tola mbadiŋolu anna audio nenta na lamo anin hakkilo la nkana lamo anin jusola na minister of finance nyinin ka ban na minister ani na president ne nyinin ka ban itol ka banko la kodo ka donde min tole aketa ni kuyati aketa balafati oto mbadiŋolu anna ni audio tan na lamo anin hakkilo la mbadiŋolu nkana alamo anin jusola
44 billion imported, 2.9 billion export. A deficit of over 41 billion. That is your economy. It cannot take the country anywhere. We are ready to move as a leadership to engage in a countrywide tour, starting from the 20th of October up to the 31st, that we have participated in the 2021 presidential elections, 2022 National Assembly, 2023 local government, and that is the end of a cycle. Sovereignty resides in each of us. It is elementary knowledge that the wealth of the nation belongs to us.
This is another important conference and another theme, state of the country. Without much ado, I'll just hand over the microphone to Halifa. I'm very sorry for the delay too. I don't have the phone.
Good afternoon, media practitioners. I hope when I'm returning, you will join me and see my street. And then afterwards, you'll get an explanation why what happened. Anybody who cares to know is invited, and we can go together. We have called you here today, not for an ordinary purpose. This is the beginning of another stage of development of PDOIS in reaction to another stage of development of the Republic of the Gambia. Countries, parties develop in stages. And they do in reaction to the necessities and urgencies of our times. But they also do as a result of strategic decisions. We, as a party, had to understand the country we live in. Our members chose to sign a contract with country and people. And to this day, that contract has not been breached. We saw the need to take the country through the stages that the level of consciousness of the people demanded. And that is why in 2016, we became part and parcel of Coalition 2016 in order to effect a change in the country that had never happened since 1965. Many people will tell you politics is about numbers. However, it is important to tell you that no single opposition party can teach lessons of how to change governments through numbers. Gambia had never changed through support by the people of a single opposition party to come to office. The only change that ever happened is the change brought about by a coalition in 2016. And the architects of that change must also be known, not to exclude members of PDOIS. So at least we know how to effect change. And we took back in bringing it about and played a major role in ensuring that it happened. Therefore, if we come back to you and tell you that we have capacity to effect change, the facts are there to back our assertion. We are convinced that that change was just a stage. The purpose it served was to break that belief in the Gambian people that they were powerless, they were helpless, they never had the power or authority to be able to change governments. That myth has been destroyed. That is why, as a party, in 2021, we saw the need to go back to the Gambian people to tell them what we believe would be the way to eradicate their poverty. We are convinced that Gambia has to become a freer, fairer, and better society. We are convinced that the objective of every country is to ensure that your people are well fed, that they have clean drinking water, and they are properly housed. Food, water, and security constitute the basis of building human civilization. Any people that cannot provide that to a people cannot possibly live on the face of this earth in prosperity and liberty. That is why it is the cornerstone of the programs of this party to ensure that every Gambian has food of adequate quantity and adequate quality, to have proper clean drinking water and to be properly housed. That is the cornerstone of our program. We are convinced that 2021, we sought to give the people an option of how to eradicate the poverty in the country, eradicate ignorance, eradicate any form of injustice that they may have been subjected to. But the results reveal that they did not vote for us to take charge of the affairs of this nation. Why didn't they do so? Is it that they did not appreciate the candidate? Is it that they did not appreciate the program? Is it that they did not understand the program? Those are fundamental questions we as a party had to address. And therefore, we decided to look inwards, try to build the foundation that will enable us to come up to the Gambian people again and engage you. We have done that. The party is ready to move after careful consideration of all those factors that requires development in this country. And the fundamental lesson that we want to share with you is we are convinced that the people are not satisfied with the change that took place in 2016 and its aftermath. Since they are not satisfied, it is for them to tell us why they are not satisfied and what type of Gambia they want. When they answer that question, they will also know the type of leadership they want. That is where we are. And that is the foundation, the basis of holding this press conference. We are ready to move as a leadership to engage in a countrywide tour starting from the 20th of October up to the 31st to meet our members, to meet the leadership of the party in the regions, as well as the citizens of the country, to engage in a national conversation on the future of this country and what we need to do to enable the Gambian people to take charge of their country. Because we are convinced of one thing, that those who control power should not be subjected to tyranny. Those who own the wealth of countries should not live in poverty. That is incontrovertible. You control power. You should not live under tyranny. You control the wealth of a country. You should not live under poverty. Since the sovereign people of the Gambia control the power of the country, they are the one who put people in office. It is our duty to remind them that the power they have is the power that determines what Gambia becomes. Therefore, principally, it is their time to decide. It is our duty to inform, but it is their duty to decide. And people who make decisions must get sound information that will be the basis of making such decisions. Nothing is more important than the life of our people, millions of people, 2.7 million people. It is our duty, therefore, to engage the people, to enable them to have the type of information that will enable them to decide what type of country and what type of leadership. We have the information. We are clear that sovereignty resides in our people. That is elementary knowledge, that sovereignty resides in each of us. It is elementary knowledge that the wealth of the nation belongs to us. That is socialism proper. We own the wealth of the nation as a sovereign people of the Gambia. How do we benefit, each of us, is the fundamental question. That requires knowledge, that requires program. Therefore, every Gambian should be asking every political party that the power of the nation belongs to us, the wealth of the nation belongs to us. How do you intend to govern if you will entrust that power to you, if we entrust that wealth to you, for you to govern so that we can live in liberty, for you to govern so that we can live in prosperity. That is the fundamental question that all Gambians should ask every person who appears, every party who appears to want you to entrust your power and wealth to them. Doi has answered these two questions. It affirms that looking at where we came from, we understand why we are poor. Why are we poor? We are told that we, as a country, just give you statistics, in 2022, imported $44 billion worth of goods. 44 billion. And we could only export, minus the re-export, $1.2 billion worth of goods. And re-export 1.7 billion. Total 2.9 billion. 44 billion imported, 2.9 billion export. A deficit of over 41 billion. You cannot carry yourself in the world. That is the fact. You don't even have money to be able to bring goods into the country. That is the fact. That is why 2023, $59 million had to be put as balance of payment support in order to facilitate the importation of goods in the country. And that is why every year, the IMF will tell you how much it gives as balance of payment support, because you cannot carry yourself in the world. And you continue to become indebted year after year. And why can't you carry yourself in the world? Because you are not producing what the country needs and what the country can export. Just look at these facts. In terms of vegetables alone, 171 million imported. In terms of potatoes, 28 million. Onions, 81 million. Rice, 2.0 billion. We look at other things like eggs, 112 million. Milk, 500 million. You're talking about millions, over 3 billion that you just spend on food import that you can produce for yourself. And if you were to talk to the Minister of Agriculture, he will say, yes, we have all these projects for small ruminants, all these projects for rice value chain, all these projects, roots, total up to about 2 billion in 2024. That will be received from the ADB, from the World Bank, all sorts of projects. But we heard of the GCAF, we heard of NEMA, with billions, over 4 billion, 5 billion projects, claiming that this will change the architecture of farming in the country. And if you talk to them, they talk about commercial farming. But how will the commercial farming impact on the farmers of the country? Who are the farmers of the country? What are they producing? Why is it that they cannot produce what we need? And you hear them with the slogan, eat what we grow, grow what we eat. Is that how an economy works? You just grow what you eat. and you grow what you are growing, you need fertilizer, you need seeds, you need farming implements that you are not producing. How will you grow without importing those ones? That's not how an economy works. The economy can only work if all the sectors of production work. We must make agriculture to work. We must make industry to work. We must make services to work. At the moment, they are not working. Agriculture, 18% of GDP, but we cannot produce the food we eat. Industry, they will tell you, is construction, quarrying, mining, but you look at the statistics, you don't see the minerals. Just a drop, they will mention all there as if they are disguising what is what. So you don't see any clear perspective of what minerals were exported, what manufactured goods were exported. So therefore, industrialization is at a very low level. They reduce it to construction. And when we come to services, it's wholesale, goods we import, wholesale, and tourism. Retail, wholesale, tourism. That is your economy. It cannot take the country anywhere. It didn't yesterday, it will not today. And unless you bring about system change, it will not happen tomorrow. That is what we are out to tell you with facts. We are convinced that the problem can be solved, not only can, but must be solved. Africa, Gambia cannot be the beggars of the human race. We are convinced that we have capacity to change the destiny of this country. We are convinced that in agriculture, we can get the farmers to continue to own their land. And we can have a cooperative bank that will give them the seed, fertilizer, and farming implements they need to be able to produce enough rice. The fact is evident. Over 550,000 hectares of arable land. All you need from that to be able to produce 300,000 tons of rice is only 60,000 hectares. We have it, we can produce it. By giving the producers, those who are expert in production, the seed farming implements and fertilizer that they need. So in that respect, there is a solution. And we'll continue to debate with other political parties regarding our point, and also our citizens regarding our point. We are convinced that the fruits that are now being exported, not by taking what comes from the farms of our people, but we have commercial farms producing fruits. We are convinced that our people can produce those fruits. And all they need is to be supported. The banana, the oranges, everything, mangoes, they can produce it. All they need is support. And we are determined for that to happen so that the wealth will go to uplift their condition. Because how do you uplift the condition of the people? We are convinced that this value chain that they are talking about, where you use 180 hectares there, 80 hectares there, will not be so commercialized to eradicate our people from poverty. what we envisage, and you can see the whole way the educational system is currently configured. They will tell you we are engaged in technical training, fine. There will be many technical schools, a lot of technical training, but I sympathize with the teachers, with the administrators, with even the policymakers who steadily see the need for our people to be empowered with technical education. But that's not how it works. A technical education that is not rooted in production will only give you people with knowledge and experience and know-how without any means to apply it. In order for technical education to serve the purpose, it is important to find out what our people are actually doing with their products. How are they to process it? What machines do they need to process it? What labor-saving devices in the houses and homes for the women? How do we want appropriate technology to be able to produce all the things that we need to consume? The technology is there. So when we are building partnership with other countries, that is the type of partnership we build. To know what we have, how to process our rice, our coos into flour with low level of technology, appropriate technology. We integrate that appropriate technology so that that appropriate technology will be able to process all the things that we need. Therefore, the 500 million we spend on milk, etc., milk products, will be able to produce ourselves. And it goes, the chain goes. That's what the value chain is all about. Move from agricultural production to processing. But this has to be done in a very systematic and organized way, based on your production capacities. That's what we are saying. And you see, look at the manifesto, that's what it's saying, that we will check everything that is available in terms of labor-saving devices and production schemes and machines. Then we start finding which countries produce them, the modern level of development of those products, because you can get all these machines and you cannot even find spare parts after they have problems. All this is poor planning. We're saying that's what we are going to do because we have the knowledge base, so that we will train those people, link to those machines our people are going to use, link to those countries who are ready to accompany us in our development. That's when a value chain can actually function. Of course, at the end of that value chain, you get people who will be marketing the products. So therefore, this society will start to work. People will have employment, self-employment. And we will have the goods we need. We don't need to import them. In fact, we will produce them and even export. That's how an economy works. These people are not prepared. Not this government, not this past government, not even the government of the First Republic. And Doi has been repeating this over and over again. But have you heard, as a people, what Doi has been saying? You look at the issue of industrialization. That's what processing is all about. We have the old GPMB, transform over and over again, GGC, transform again. But then where are the soap-making devices there? The oil that we need to consume locally. The cotton that we could transform into different types of yarn and cloth. What are we producing? Absolutely nothing. And that's what Doi is talking about. We must have large-scale industrialization based on our capacity, but small-scale industrialization, processing, to meet the needs of our population, and the two would be linked. We are saying in terms of services, look at the area of tourism. we are told that we had almost 137,000 tourists in the Gambia in 2023. 137,000. But how are they linked to our economy? We have people all over, as we have always said, with skills, handicraft, which reflects cultural competence. Some produce this local cloth, which can be transformed into tablecloths, into towels, into all sorts of handiworks for the hotels, for society at large, for tourists who come. We have different forms of craft in terms of using pottery. Such craft can be said to be disappearing because the productive base is not responding to the demands of their circumstances. That's what we are saying, that we would have prepared all these areas of production, know the quantity that could be produced, know the number of tourists who are coming, market. That's when you talk about marketing tourism, that's what marketing, you must market something. You just don't go and market sand and sea. For centuries, that's what we've been doing. What has it benefit us? You must market the culture. You must market the people, their capacity. Not, I'm sorry for saying marketing, but you must market the culture in such a way that the people will be able to build up their ability to do things, to craft things, and build things, and earn. That is what we are talking about. So this message that we have decided to give you today is simply the beginning of a national conversation on the way forward for the Gambia. We'll be training our membership, we'll be training our leadership, and we wish to share knowledge with the citizens of this country. As of now, we would want to open up that national conversation. We'll be holding symposia, community meetings, different type of engagements with all communities, whether they are farmers, whether they are workers, whether they are women, craftswomen, whether they are seamstress, whatever their volition, whatever their craft, we are going to be engaged and show how that craft can ultimately lead you to prosperity in your homeland. We will engage for people to know the power that they have, so that they know that they are not slaves who should be sold to the biggest buyer. We must know that that power we have is not meant for sale. It's meant to be entrusted. And it will be entrusted by leaders, because you are actually the leaders of the nation. It is your mindset that gives us leaders. So you are the leaders. Your choice will determine what Gambia becomes. So it is time for each of us to ensure that we take charge of the destiny of our homeland and have the same sense of responsibility that we are demanding of those who are leading, because we put them in the position to lead. We must ensure that we have that same sense of responsibility in determining leadership, because we determine the type of leaders that we have. Many issues are being discussed all over the country. And I am to tell you, our position on some of these issues. One is, in fact, the very basis of the existence of this nation, and that is its constitution. You cannot have a republic without a constitution. And we are the makers of the constitution. We've gone through a history of the people merely being spectators of the political process, where we had a 1965 constitution that most people knew nothing about. 1970 constitution that most people, including those who are highly educated, knew nothing about. And a 1997 constitution where at least some sensitization took place, but almost 70% of the population could not tell you its content. And suddenly, we talked about constitutional change and consultation, national consultation taking place on constitutional matters. But we have never reached the level of consensus on what the Constitution should contain. We as a people must now refuse to be alienated from what we own. Constitution determines how we are governed. It is now time for us to open up this national conversation on the constitution building process. Where we are is evident. A CRC was established and it carried out its work from 2018 to 2020. Although a mandate was given of 18 months, it requested for 6 more months, and it was given, and it carried its mandate to the full. It brought its draft to the president and published it untouched, and it was subjected to the process of promulgation up to the level of the National Assembly. What is very clear to all Gambians is that in bringing a constitution for promulgation, the draft must be published in the Gazette for 3 months, and then after the 3 months, a second publication for no less than 10 days, and after that, it will be brought to the National Assembly. And it goes through readings. It goes through the first reading, and then the second reading, you debate the principles. When that CRC draft was brought as a bill, it could not pass that second reading because it required a 3/4 majority of all the members of the National Assembly. It could not get 3/4 majority, even though it had more members supporting than opposing. That's what should be understood. What you should also understand is that after a bill passes the second stage, second reading, it goes to a committee stage when all the members will have the opportunity to express their opinions, and all citizens will have the opportunity to express their opinions. The committee can even hold all sorts of hearings, public hearings, just to get the mind of everybody on the subject matter. That is the process that a bill should take. A debate. Unfortunately, the CRC draft that came as a bill did not pass that second reading and did not go to the committee stage. That is what is known to all of us. After that, procrastination after procrastination, because we knew what could be done to cure it. And we tried that. The only way it could have been cured is to revoke the decision that was taken. And a motion was made in that parliament for permit to be given to make the motion for that revocation. It was never given. And that's when that process became dead. That was the end of it. And Doi continued, we did not participate in any of their meetings, except one where we went to tell them that you are wasting the time of the nation. The thing that you're talking about is dead. We must now talk about procedure and content and see how to ensure that we come up with a new process of building the Constitution. So it is important for you to understand that this party has always been guiding the nation on how we should move with the constitution building process. First, by indicating that we could have changed the constitution without going through this long and elaborate process, by looking at the enshrined clauses which require referendum, and we put them together and take them to a referendum. Non-enshrined clauses which the National Assembly could change, and then we change it at the level of the National Assembly. But even though they did not accept the ideas we gave them, we did not also say that what we said must happen. They came up with new, we supported them. Came up with new, we supported them. So anytime they come up with something that is in the interest of the nation, we speak and we give our support. But the CRC draft, no matter what its weaknesses may have been, is not something that could have just passed like that without scrutiny. Those who disagreed with any of its content could have actually made recommendations for amendments at the consideration stage. That is where we are at the moment, a constitutional impasse where instead, and recommendations were given, instead of the state constituting a committee, constitutional review committee, that will talk to everybody again, explain the 1997 Constitution to people, explain the CRC draft, and then seek opinion, provide report to the executive as well as to Parliament and the public at large in a national validation exercise, and then we agree on what procedure and what content we are going to work on to bring about a constitution of the Third Republic. That's what consultation should have given rise to. That consultation did not take place. They brought a draft, published it, and that draft is what is now in the public space. What are we to do with it? That is the question. The inevitable is what we are here to tell you. It is inevitable that after the 3 months, that bill will be again published for the second time. And after that, it will be brought to the National Assembly for the first reading. After that, it will go to the second reading. What are the National Assembly members going to do? If we say we don't want it, how do you show that you don't want it? That is the question. Anybody who says they don't want that constitution, how do you say that you don't want it? How do you prevent it from being what you don't want? When we say knowledge, that is what it requires, to know what should happen. And no Gambian should be in the dark about this. What we are out to tell you is that if they bring this bill to the National Assembly, it will have to go to the second reading. Yes, at the second reading, the National Assembly members could say, no, we don't support it. And it will be dead just like the CRC bill. That's one thing that could happen. Is that what should happen? Would that be a sign of really being sovereign? What is being sovereign? Is having the authority and power to do something. We are telling you that the executive does not have sovereign authority to promulgate the constitution of a Third Republic. They don't have the responsibility. They just have the right to propose, full stop. they have the right to propose. Full stop. It is the National Assembly members who have the right to dispose of the bill. They are the ones who can say that what is there can be changed. So therefore, all Gambians should be reviewing this bill. Review the CRC draft. You may even accuse them of plagiarizing the 1997 Constitution or the CRC draft. Accuse them of anything you wish. You may accuse them of not consulting. Yes, whatever you wish to say. You have freedom of speech, freedom of opinion to express your dissatisfaction with action that has been taken. But principally, if you want to have a mature opinion, you must read and understand all these documents and ask yourself which clause is in line with the interests of the sovereign people of the Gambia. Which clause should be seen to be fit to be in the constitution of a sovereign republic. And then that's what the National Assembly members should be told, and that's what they should argue, and that's what they should insist should be in that provision, or they will reject whatever is there that they do not approve. So it's like we are at the heart of building a new nation. Each of us must now become empowered. What had not happened in the past is what should happen now. To be involved. No one should accept to be excluded. This time we must not see constitutions as products of intellectuals with superior minds. We must see it as something that must come from us on how we are to govern, how we are to vote, what president should do for us, what National Assembly members should do, what council should do. This should be known to all of us. So this is now the opportunity to extend this conversation. And DOI is going to do that with its members, with its leaders, and the citizenry at large, if they wish to be a part. But DOI will establish fora of all sorts, the media, it will exploit every avenue to get the people to understand the 1997 Constitution and its history, the CRC draft of 2020, and the current cabinet draft of 2024. It will do that so that the people will be enlightened on the Constitution. But as far as procedure is concerned, the National Assembly members finally, after it is introduced in the Parliament, will have the total control of that document, and they can do with it whatever they want to do with it. We have seen certain developments that engulf the nation. The media, people being taken to court. You see, this is what we are saying. What is a government to do? How do we enhance freedom in a republic? Every citizen has a right to information. And the information must be based on facts and should be in the public interest. So once we seek information that is truthful, that is factual, that is in the public interest, we'll be enlightened. Once we give information that does the same, the nation will be enlightened. So the republic creates a contract between the citizens and those who give information. And that contract is inviolable and must be defended. And governments that respect that contract will not be worried, because you will always pursue the fact. Suppose you say something about Uncle Sidia or Halifa, or Halifa Sallah, and then Halifa Sallah responds and the facts are known by the whole population, why would Halifa Sallah be angry again? Because the fact is known. Once the fact is known, in fact, who is being indicted? The person who gave something that's not factual. So this whole issue of, fake news and all this, well, what is important is to have a people who, when they hear the facts, they will believe in those facts. And that the battle will be battle between falsehood and truth. And uninformed people will be a people who could be misled. But it's an insult to tell an informed person that you have the capacity to mislead him or her. And that's what a sovereign nation is built of. Informed citizenry who no one can mislead, pursuing the truth in good faith in the public interest. That is what we need to build. And we hope those who govern today will bear that in mind, that if they have not built up that architecture of a country, then they will see the fact that what is happening because we have not done enough work to build the type of country we should build. But we are convinced that as Doi